The world was young. Gods walked among men. Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent, was beloved. He was a vision of emerald scales and vibrant feathers. His eyes shone with ancient wisdom. He brought knowledge and art to the people. He taught them agriculture and writing. They flourished under his guidance. Quetzalcoatl preached peace and understanding. He abhorred violence and sacrifice. He believed in the power of creation, not destruction. His reign was a golden age. The wind whispered his name with reverence. His heart was filled with love for his creations. He saw himself not as a ruler, but as a shepherd. He guided his flock with gentle hands and a warm heart. He yearned for their happiness and prosperity. But darkness lurked in the shadows. Tezcatlipoca, the smoking mirror, watched Quetzalcoatl. Jealousy coiled in his heart like a venomous serpent. Tezcatlipoca craved power and control. He reveled in chaos and fear. He saw Quetzalcoatl's popularity grow. Resentment festered within him. He whispered doubts about the feathered serpent. He sowed seeds of discord among the people. He plotted to overthrow the benevolent god. Tezcatlipoca despised Quetzalcoatl's compassion. He saw it as weakness. He believed that true power lay in fear. He vowed to break the feathered serpent and claim his throne. He would usher in an age of darkness. His heart was a pit of obsidian, cold and unyielding. He craved the adoration that Quetzalcoatl received. He desired the power that came with it. He would stop at nothing to achieve his goal. Tezcatlipoca possessed a powerful artifact, an obsidian mirror. In its depths swirled unimaginable magic. He gazed into its smoky abyss. A plan began to form. He would use the mirror to corrupt Quetzalcoatl, to break his spirit. He brewed a potion of unimaginable potency. It shimmered with dark energy. One sip and the drinker's spirit would be twisted. Their heart would be consumed by darkness. This was the weapon Tezcatlipoca would wield. He disguised himself, his form shifting and swirling. He appeared before Quetzalcoatl as a humble traveler. He offered the potion as a gift, the elixir of eternal life. He played on Quetzalcoatl's trusting nature. Quetzalcoatl, ever compassionate, accepted the gift. He suspected no treachery. He had never encountered such malice before. He raised the potion to his lips, unaware of the darkness that awaited him. The potion was a viper's kiss. It burned like fire as it slid down Quetzalcoatl's throat. His senses reeled. The world around him blurred. His heart, once filled with light, grew cold. He lashed out in confusion and pain. The very air around him crackled with dark energy. His love for his people twisted into a possessive rage. He who once abhorred violence now craved it. His mind, once a beacon of wisdom, became clouded with paranoia and suspicion. He saw enemies everywhere, even in the eyes of his most devoted followers. He turned on them with terrifying fury. The land, once fertile and bountiful, withered under his touch. Crops failed, rivers ran dry. The people cowered in fear of the once benevolent god. Their cries for mercy fell on deaf ears. Section 5. Wreath of the Feathered Serpent. Under Tezcatlipoca's influence, Quetzalcoatl waged war. He turned on his fellow gods, his rage knowing no bounds. He tore down temples and cities in his madness. He became the very thing he despised. The other gods united against him. A terrible battle raged across the heavens and the earth. Volcanoes erupted, the seas churned. The very fabric of reality threatened to unravel. But even in his corrupted state, Quetzalcoatl was a formidable opponent. His divine power, now twisted and amplified by the potion, laid waste to all who opposed him. The earth ran red with the blood of gods and mortals alike. The once vibrant colors of his feathered serpent form were now dulled with ash and blood. His cries of anguish echoed across the ravaged landscape, a testament to the tragedy that had befallen him. The war raged on, a maelstrom of destruction and despair. But even in his madness, a flicker of Quetzalcoatl's former self remained. He saw the devastation he had wrought. He felt the weight of his actions. In a moment of clarity, he realized the depth of Tezcatlipoca's betrayal. He saw the smug triumph in the smoking mirror's eyes. He understood that he had been used as a pawn in a game of chaos. The realization was like a physical blow. Betrayal cut deeper than any blade. The love he had felt for his brother god turned to ashes in his mouth. The pain of it was unbearable. His heart, already poisoned by the potion, cracked further. The last vestiges of hope seemed to dwindle and die. He had become the very thing he had sworn to protect the world from. Despair threatened to consume Quetzalcoatl. The weight of his past actions bore down on him like an unrelenting storm, each memory a dagger to his soul. He had once been a beacon of hope, a symbol of strength, but now he was a shadow of his former self, haunted by the choices that led him astray. But from the ashes of his spirit rose a spark of defiance. It was a small, flickering light. but it was enough to ignite a fire within him. He realized that he could not let his past define him. He had to rise above the darkness to reclaim the light that once shone so brightly within him. He would not be Tezcatlipoca's puppet any longer. The chains that bound him were not just physical, but emotional and spiritual. Breaking free from them required immense strength and courage, but Quetzalcoatl was determined. He would reclaim his destiny no matter the cost. He would find a way to atone for his sins. The path to redemption was fraught with challenges, but he was ready to face them. He spent countless nights in solitude, reflecting on his past and planning his future. Each moment of contemplation brought him closer to understanding what he needed to do. He knew he could not stay. The environment around him was a constant reminder of his failures. Staying would mean succumbing to the darkness that threatened to engulf him. He had to leave, to find a place where he could start anew, where he could begin his journey towards redemption. As long as he remained, his corrupted presence would continue to poison the world. The land around him was a reflection of his inner turmoil, a desolate wasteland that mirrored his soul. He could not allow his presence to further taint the world he once vowed to protect. There was only one path left open to him: exile. It was a lonely road, filled with uncertainty and danger, but it was the only way. He had to distance himself from everything he knew, to find a place where he could heal and grow stronger. It was a heavy price to pay, but one he was willing to bear. The burden of his past was immense, but he carried it with the hope that one day he would be free of it. Each step he took was a step towards redemption, towards a future where he could look at himself without shame. With a heavy heart, he gathered his remaining strength. The journey ahead was long and arduous, but he was ready. He took a deep breath, steeling himself for the challenges that lay ahead. He knew that this was just the beginning, that the road to redemption was a marathon, not a sprint. He addressed his followers, his voice a raspy whisper of its former glory. They had stood by him through thick and thin, and they deserved to know the truth. He spoke of his past, of the mistakes he had made, and of the path he now chose to walk. His words were filled with pain, but also with hope. He confessed his sins and begged for their forgiveness. It was a humbling experience to lay bare his soul before those who had once looked up to him. Tears flowed freely, both from him and his followers, as the weight of his confession settled over them. He promised to return one day when he had found a way to purify himself. It was a promise made not just to his followers, but to himself. He vowed to find a way to cleanse his soul, to become the leader they deserved once more. He looked out at their tear-stained faces, his heart breaking anew. He had failed them. The pain in their eyes was a mirror of his own, a stark reminder of the consequences of his actions. But amidst the sorrow, there was also a glimmer of hope, a belief that he could find redemption. But he would not abandon them. He would carry their hopes and dreams with him, using them as a beacon to guide him through the darkness. He knew that his journey was not just for himself, but for all those who believed in him. He would find a way to redeem himself, even if it took 1,000 lifetimes. The road ahead was long, but he was ready to walk it. With each step, he moved closer to the light, to a future where he could finally find peace. And so the feathered serpent departed, his heart heavy with the weight of his actions and the consequences that followed. He journeyed eastward towards the rising sun, seeking redemption and a way to undo the damage he had caused. Each step he took was a step away from the life he once knew, a life now marred by sorrow and regret. He left behind a world reeling from his transformation and the devastation it had wrought. The once vibrant lands were now scorched and barren, a stark reminder of the chaos that had ensued. His absence left a void in the hearts of his people, a void that no one else could fill. They wandered aimlessly, their spirits broken, their hopes dashed. The land remained scarred, a testament to the terrible power of Tezcatlipoca's potion. Deep cracks marred the earth, and fields once lush and green were now charred and lifeless. The memory of the benevolent god, once a source of comfort, became a painful reminder of what they had lost. The statues and shrines that once stood proudly were now in ruins, desecrated and abandoned. Whispers of his reign became legend, stories told in hushed tones around fires, each retelling adding a layer of myth and mystery. The tales of his greatness and his fall were passed down, becoming part of the fabric of their culture. His teachings, passed down through generations, became shrouded in myth and mystery. Elders would gather the young, sharing the ancient scrolls and manuscripts that held the wisdom of the feathered serpent, hoping to keep his legacy alive. The world he had left behind struggled to rebuild, haunted by the shadow of his fall. Villages lay in ruins, and the people worked tirelessly to restore what had been lost, their efforts a testament to their resilience. But even in their despair, a spark of hope remained. Amidst the darkness, small signs of life began to emerge. A single blooming flower in a burnt field, a small flame in a dark room, symbols of the enduring spirit of the people. The prophecy of his return became a beacon in the darkness. It was said that one day the feathered serpent would return, cleansed and redeemed, to restore the world to its former glory. One day the feathered serpent would return, cleansed and redeemed, to restore the world to its former glory. The people clung to this hope, believing that their savior would come back to heal the wounds of the past and lead them into a brighter future. Time marched on. Empires rose and fell, leaving behind echoes of their grandeur and the lessons of their demise. The sands of time buried their stories, but some legends refused to be forgotten. But the legend of Quetzalcoatl endured. His story, unlike many others, was etched into the very fabric of the cultures that revered him. His name was whispered in the winds, carried across mountains and valleys, transcending generations. From the ashes of his fall, a new faith arose. It was a faith built on the promise of renewal and the hope that from destruction, new life could emerge. Ceremonies were held and fires were lit to honor his memory and to keep the hope alive. People clung to the hope of his return. They looked to the skies, searching for signs, believing that one day he would come back to guide them once more. Their faith was unwavering, a beacon in the darkest of times. They built temples in his honor. These structures were not just places of worship, but symbols of their enduring faith. Each stone laid was a testament to their belief in his promise and their hope for a brighter future. They wove his story into their art and song. Through vibrant murals and intricate carvings, they told tales of his greatness, his wisdom, and his sacrifice. Artisans and bards alike ensured that his legend would never fade. He became a symbol of hope, a promise that even the darkest of times could be overcome. His image, silhouetted against the setting sun, reminded them that light would always follow darkness. His name, once whispered in fear, was now uttered with reverence and longing. The chants grew louder, ceremonies more elaborate, as the legend of Quetzalcoatl became a cornerstone of their cultural identity. For Quetzalcoatl's story is a reminder. It is a tale that speaks to the resilience of the human spirit, the power of belief, and the enduring nature of hope. It is a story that has been passed down through the ages, a beacon of light in a world often shrouded in darkness. It speaks of the duality of good and evil, the fragility of trust, and the enduring power of hope. The legend of Quetzalcoatl is a complex tapestry of lessons, each thread woven with care and purpose. It is a story that continues to resonate across cultures and centuries, a testament to the enduring power of myth and the human need for redemption. And so they wait. They celebrate his legacy, finding unity in their shared belief. They watch the horizon, searching for any sign of his return. Every sunrise and sunset, every celestial event is observed with hope and anticipation. For they know that one day the feathered serpent will rise again. The signs are written in the stars, and the earth itself seems to whisper his name. He will fulfill his promise. The dawn of a new era is foretold, an age where peace and prosperity will reign. He will usher in a new age of peace and prosperity. The land will flourish, and the people will rejoice, celebrating the fulfillment of a prophecy long awaited. Until then, his legend lives on, a beacon of hope in a world shrouded in darkness. The story of Quetzalcoatl is a guiding light, a reminder that even in the darkest times, hope endures.